Alright, so let's wrap up the section by talking about the relationship between hypothesis test and confidence intervals. Okay, so let's directly use an example here. So let's suppose we have a sample with sample size 100, make it easy, and sample mean is 100, and sample standard deviation is 10. Then we can easily construct a 95% confidence interval for the population mean is 100 plus minus 1.96 times the sample standard deviation divided by the square root of sample size. This is just 1. So the confidence interval is just 100 plus minus 1.96. So let's consider a hypothesis test. So the null hypothesis is population mean equal to a value mu naught. And the alternate hypothesis is the opposite. Then there are 3 cases. If the value of mu naught is equal to 100 plus or minus 1.96, then the p-value for this test is equal to exactly 0.05. If mu naught is between the 2 values at the confidence interval, then the p-value is going to be greater than 0.05. And if mu naught is outside of the confidence interval, then the p-value is less than 0.05. So in short, in the first and the second case, H naught is rejected at 5% level. But if mu naught is between the 2 endpoints of the confidence interval, then H naught is not rejected. So we say H naught is plausible at 5% level. So in some sense, the 95% confidence interval contains all the plausible values of the population mean at the 5% level. Okay, so that's how the 95% confidence interval corresponds to hypothesis testing at 5% level. So let's look at the case of one-sided confidence interval. Confidence intervals versus one-sided test. So the result is analogous. So let's use the same example because the number is easy. So sample size is 100, sample mean is 100, sample standard deviation is 10. So let's consider one-sided 95% confidence interval. Let's choose the upper bounds. So it's going to be 100 plus, because it's one-sided, so it's 1.645 times 100, 10, divided by the sample size square rooted. Again, this is 1, so it's just 100 plus 1.645. Then we can consider the hypothesis test. One-sided hypothesis test. H naught is mu greater than or equal to mu naught, and H1 is mu less than mu naught. And then the 3 cases we have here is going to be exactly the same as the 3 cases we had before. So if mu naught is equal to 100 plus 1.645, then the p-value is equal to exactly 0.05. If mu naught is less than 100 plus 1.645. This means it's in the interval. Then the p-value is going to be greater than 0.05. And if mu naught is greater than 100 plus 1.645, this means it's outside of the confidence interval. Then the p-value is going to be less than 0.05. So same thing. In the first two cases, H naught is rejected at 5% level. And in the third case, H naught is still plausible at 5% level. So the conclusion is the same for one-sided confidence intervals and one-sided tests. The one-sided confidence interval, 95% confidence interval, contains all the plausible values of the population mean for a one-sided hypothesis test. One-sided. At 5% level. Right. So that's it for section 6.2.